Hello, thank you so much for coming to the Sashiko Live Streaming. This is Atsushi. So this is the live streaming where I talk about Sashiko while doing the Sashiko stitching, and this is not a lecture, this is not a webinar, this is not a tutorial, this is not like a class. So I will not answer the technical question much. There are a lot of videos already on the YouTube on my channel, so please take a look at that. But I would like to discuss about some cultural stories. So if you have any questions about Sashiko or around Sashiko, please leave the comment. I don't have any announcement today. No, yeah, I don't have any announcement today. So things are piling up, and I would like to, do one by one. I've been a little bit busy, but the March should be much easier for me to work on. So yeah, I should be able to do the live streaming every Thursday, and I will keep sharing the stories. All right, I will move to the stitching as always. Just let me do that. Yeah. There was one interesting comment on the Instagram, so I will probably talk about it today. And it is about a change. Change. Some people think that I am refusing to the change. I am denying that change. I'm trying to prevent the change itself. But that's not really what I'm doing. I accept change, and I do. I am the one who keeps changing as well. So it is not my intention to be understood as the one who deny the change. So I will talk about how I think about the change itself today. Unless, oh, by the way, my fingers are a little cute today. They're really, really cute. Kind of peeling too, but my daughter has been practicing to be kind of stylist, makeup and also nails and stuff like that. So I I wasn't really thinking about live streaming, to be honest. So I have a little cute nails today. It doesn't really peel off too. I think that's for the kids, but it doesn't really peel off. So that's the reason for that. Very nice. I don't know. It's really almost off, so it's quite weird. Uh, it is okay. I have no say. I have no right to say. I have no, how can I say, control over what she does. So what she enjoys is what I enjoy. It is getting warmer a little bit here, and I hope that your place is getting warmer too. And the hot temperature isn't ideal for Sashiko because the sweat itself is really not the best friend for Sashiko stitching. At the same time, the too cold is also not good for me. Sashiko itself was probably developed in a very, very cold area. But personally, I don't like stitching in a very, very too cold situation. So spring is a really, really good time for us to keep stitching. So I hope you can bring something to stitch with and then join this live streaming every Thursday night. This is like my question, actually. I have a question. Although I keep saying that I do accept change, or I am even the one who encourage the change. For those who watch this live streaming or follow my Instagram for a while, do I still look like that I'm refusing the change itself? Do you think I am, like some people call me gatekeeper, and I think gatekeeper means that those who try to avoid a big change. And it is true that I do not like the big change. No, I don't like the Sashiko which got a really, really big change. But my question is, do I look like, or do I write something that I do refuse the change or deny the change? It is perfectly fine if somebody just, stopping by have that kind of impression that I'm refusing the change itself. But if you, as like a long time follower or somebody who listens to my live streaming every week, have an impression that I'm refusing the change itself, then it's not a problem. But it's something I have to learn. That's something I have to learn how to present myself. So I'm just wondering. But at the same time, yep, I think that's how they understand. No, that's how they wanna understand me. That's easy. That's the easiness of them understanding what's going on, or like the stories behind my story. To me, gatekeeper means you would like to control, manage the change, maybe choose which change get through that, which doesn't. Ah, okay. So, do I try to be a gatekeeper too? Do I look like being a gatekeeper? Do I try to control the change itself? Probably yes in English, but I don't think I do that in Japanese. I keep saying that I accept any change as long as it is done by Japanese. So the conclusion is I don't mind the change itself, regardless of the change's style or what kind of changes we have. It may be extraordinary, it may be completely different from what I prefer. But I don't think it is healthy to deny the change because things change. Like it is impossible to not impossible. It's not healthy to imagine that everything will be the same tomorrow. So change is very, very important. And I don't think I am trying to have the full control. Of course, I would like to somewhat contribute to the change, but I don't think I'm trying to control it or manage it. But at the same time, I really would like to pay attention how the change is done or how it is changing the culture. So it's not really the product of the changing process. If Sashiko is changing to something else completely, it can be very far from what I like or what I do. It is okay as long as there is somewhat again, same as acknowledge. It goes back to the acknowledgement, but acknowledgement to the people who practice Sashiko now and before. So that's pretty much the summary of my message here and there. It is not what, it is how. And for that reason, I sometimes say that the Sashiko changing in Japan is not really my concern because that's probably proper way to change that. And I receive often the question in the comments saying that there's nothing we can do about it. And it is probably true. There's nothing we can do about it when the goal is to stop the change itself. If we have to resist to the change itself, that's probably impossible in this internet society. But at the same time, if the key is how it is changed, I don't want to give up on that. I think giving up on that process or how it is going to be changed is more like giving up the, I don't want to say humanity, well, I wrote humanity, but giving up that is really denying our good, positive part of humanity for that matter. So I'm a big believer of Sei Zensetsu, which is that all people are born to be good, or people are decent by nature. Nobody's evil by birth. That's kind of my basic principle or philosophy. So by saying that we cannot stop it, we have to focus. We have to give up on changing, or how we have to give up on expecting or hoping or even wishing to have the decent change. And that is quite sad to see that. So the big misunderstanding that I am probably causing is that I have very, very specific Sashiko that I try to protect, and I'm refusing to all the changes. That is not really true. And if I am presenting myself like that, then I have to change that. I have to, I have to reflect that. But I don't think I am presenting myself like that. So it is what the usual. It is what is. It is what is. That's how they want to look at me. That's how they want to understand me. They prefer me to be resisting to the culture because that's quite easy to understand what I'm trying to do. Here's a Japanese Sashiko artist, and Japanese artisan, and he is refusing the change. So it's like a traditional versus modern. And the people can say, well, there's nothing you can do about the change because it is changing and it's modern, or tradition is the past, and then we're gonna go to the future. So there's nothing we can do about it. It is true, yes. At the same time, I'm not talking about the result. I'm talking about how it is changed. And the key to be mindful about it is just like acknowledgement. And I don't think I'm asking too much. I don't think I'm asking too much for that. Sashiko has been very, very, very interestingly different from what I would have thought about it to be. 15 years, almost 15 years ago, when I was not even thinking to be the Sashiko for my life, I wasn't thinking about staying Sashiko. I never expected, I really did not expect this reality that Sashiko becomes the English word, and there's even discussion of the change. There were not like discussion of the change is that there a future of that. I didn't see any future back then. Are there people who say you are resisting change, and why is what those people say important? It is not important. then it is not, what they say is not really important at all. And those are probably not the people who I have around usually. Like, people here are not gonna view me as that. At the same times, um, if I do not ask this type of question in Japanese because I know what I'm doing. In English, to be honest, I don't know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, but I am not sure how other look at me, how other try to understand me. And it is it's not a problem at all. Even if the first timer, if they want to understand me as they wish, that's perfectly fine. It's not really a problem. At the same time, my message, sorry, my mission is to deliver the message. So until 2023, my mission was to share. And I think I've said that my goal has become more like delivering the message. So I repeat the same thing over and over again right now. So in order to deliver the message, I have to understand what is the first impression, or what is the image that I'm creating myself. So technically speaking, I really sincerely appreciate you being here and listening every week, every Thursday. But technically speaking, you are not the one who I need to deliver the message to appreciate the culture, because you are already here and you are listening, and I don't have to even deliver that. I can just say it and then you receive it. So I don't bring it to your door. You can come to me and, eat together. I don't have to deliver that pizza to you. We can eat that. But well, therefore, I think I care if I am doing okay job. It is quite interesting. Like, I used to not to care about it at all. Like a few years ago, I didn't give a. Oh, oops! I did not give. Hmm? Without using the bad word, I did not care. I didn't give about that because it is what I do, and if only the people who want to listen to me, please come over so that um, I can share as much as I want. But I think Sashiko has become too big of the trend to even say that. If I say, like, only if you don't want to listen to me, don't listen, it's not gonna work any longer. If my goal is to ask to have the decent change in how to change it, not what to change to. So that's why I'm kind of being a little bit more naive for that matter. I would like to know if I am. It's really naive, but I would like to know if I'm doing okay. And to answer Suzanne's question, I don't really. It's not a problem. Those people are not. That's what they say are not important. But I would like to know how what I say, what I write, will be perceived as. Starchy potatoes. Do you ever wish Sashiko was never introduced in English? Ooh, that is a good question. Do you ever wish Sashiko was never introduced in English? Do I ever wish? That's a very good question. See, I have to stop. I have to. No. No. I am happy. I think that Sashiko has a lot to offer. And back then, already 2000, like around 20 years ago, 25 years ago, the market in Japan was too small and too unique, too diversified to preserve this culture or contain this culture within Japan. So we needed to make it a bigger market, which is outside of Japan, which is English, right? So, and that's what I tried to do when I was in the Sashiko business. I tried to make this business bigger to the global market. So I am actually the one who tried to introduce. I am actually the one of those who tried to introduce Sashiko in English. And for that, I am not really complaining that Sashiko has become this big trend in English. I'm kind of happy about it too. And I'm not really whining because that I was not the one who led this. I am very concerned about the missing part is so huge right now. The faster the trend goes, the bigger the part they're missing grows. And those missing part is probably what we define as the most delicious part. And that makes me feel sad because that's not that is not that's not fair. There we go. Um, I wish more Japanese people would speak up in English, but that's not possible because of the language differences. It is not like it's one one big barrier or wall that they have to overcome. At the same time, it is not fair that those who can speak English, only those who can speak English can introduce Sashiko, either Japanese or non-Japanese, are not fair. For that, I am doing not fair part. I'm doing more like a privilege part. I technically speaking, I can kind of limit the I can lead people to the understanding that I prefer, but I try not to do that because my goal is to not to lead. My goal is to involve everybody, leave nobody behind. So probably I wish the speed is a little slower so that the Western value is not gonna override everything. To be honest, to be really honest, I don't know the difference between those who listen to me and who does not really listen to me. There are two kinds. I mean, there are two kinds of people, right? Who really try to listen to what I'm saying, and those who listen to what they think that I'm doing or saying. So this is very, very big difference between those two category of people, and I don't know what makes them different. But usually the target or the people who I really need to deliver this message is those who think that who has their opinion on what they think that what they want to hear what they think I am saying. So they're not really listening with understanding what I'm saying. They are understanding what they want to understand from me, yet that's not what I'm saying. So there's a huge gap in between those people and not even people, those like reactions. And I wonder what makes them so different. I don't really encourage to have the separation, but unfortunately, separation has become more clear, that one side is trying to sort of appreciate, I guess. I don't want to use appreciation appropriation here, but those who appreciate Sashiko do not teach it so easily. Those people who say that they're not appropriating, those people who say that they're appreciating do not really appreciate enough to be appreciating. Those who say that they are worried about appropriation, who is actually appreciating, do not really teach, or they listen to what I say. But so there's really big two categories. I'll just give a little bit of rest. There might be a little commercial 30 minutes right after, 30 minutes past from the live streaming. So I will put it here. Thank you so much for the good question. My eyes are twitching because of the question. Do I wish? What do I wish? I wish that the people who enjoy Sashiko can do what I can do. And it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. Many people here can do what I do. And you prove that. Of course, it might require some practice, but it's not gonna be like centuries or years of practice. They can do that. Very, it's not that difficult. But if they only focus on what they want to hear, they might not reach to the point I'm trying to explain. And that's very pity, sad, unfortunate. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to prevent. It is quite interesting. I still keep receiving a lot of requests to teach or do the seminar or lecture. At the same time, I think there are many people who do not want to listen to what I'm saying because that can be inconvenient to them, or simply I might be focusing on too much cultural perspective, especially if they want to focus on just how it looks. My stories can be very annoying. So, but again, how it looks and what we do is the same context. It's the same thing. So we cannot separate those two things. If the goal is to understand what Sashiko is. So, and I'm facing bigger than what Sashiko is, to be honest. It is probably what many culture experience from even before the internet. Internet accelerated this process, so many culture is changing more faster than they can handle. But only thing I can do is to talk about within the capacity of Sashiko. So sorry if there's the ad might kick in right now, and the YouTube told me that an ad might be kicking in. Yes, I hope that Sashiko will not be divided by the Western philosophy, because the Japanese has not divided that yet. We kind of preserve this very unique balance of coexistence in Japan. I'm not saying they were all happy and harmony, united, cheerful. They can be pretty nasty or passive aggressive, or nasty behind the scene, but no one has decided which is the answer for Sashiko for a long time. ever since Sashiko was developed, I think there were nobody who defined what Sashiko is for the whole picture. They can define their own Sashiko and they can make rules for their Sashiko, but we, including myself, including my family, we knew that what is the line that we cannot cross. That's because of the culture we cultivated, especially before the internet. Now, when the word Sashiko jumps outside of the Japan, that culture of avoiding the conflict will be deleted, overridden by the philosophy or value, Western value of what is right or wrong. So that is what I'm trying to prevent. God, English is so difficult. See, I cannot stitch. My brain is boiling so well. And I think I know. I think I'm getting I'm getting to the point that what I'm trying to do is crazy. But I don't want to give up. Giving up is not an option because if I give up on that, I have to give up on everything, I believe. So, and I have good friends that they encourage me to not to give up. So, of course, I won't give up and I won't stop doing that. Those comments that don't change me at all. It's just it goes back to the same question I always ask, which is the discussion we had with Tai. I think it was episode 2. It's a Sashiko dialogue, episode 2. What can I do better? Like, not if, as my goal is to explain the whole picture of Sashiko, which I cannot define what is whole, but my goal is to share something that was excluded in the process of simplification in Sashiko. What can I do better? How can I do better? What can I do? Because the audience is not Japanese mainly. And the language I use is English, which is my second language. And I do not have a good understanding of what I'm talking, who I'm talking to. So I ask the question to everybody, actually, for that matter. What can I do better? I mean, it is impossible to change somebody's mind. If they want to look left, I cannot make them look right. It is not healthy to force them to look right when they really want to look left. So, what can I do better might be a very, very good question to keep asking. We have been probably talking about the same thing over and over, and especially the change is the key word for that. Many people ask about the change, and those comments are not that rare. Well, change is inevitable, so give up is really not the often comment I receive. But I receive a lot of questions what I think about the change in Sashiko, which means it is changing. And that means that they care. They want to know. What the heck is going on? Oh, it's okay. And this is probably the question that I have to keep asking. probably learn how to make my stories more entertaining, more fun, something you can laugh. Teaching has become entertainment, and I sometimes, write as if it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It's just teaching should not be just entertainment, but denying the perspective of entertainment in teaching will result in losing it. So I am very much aware that entertainment is very key for the Sashiko's change or anything's change. How is it changing? What is it changing? How is Sashiko changing? That is the question. How is Sashiko changing? That's a very fundamental question, and I can probably list a lot of things, but it is changing. Changing or even simplifying. Like changing include the simplification too. It is simplified, and therefore it is becoming something else, and I define that process as change. But if the question is Sashiko changing, then yes, it is changing. How is Sashiko changing? To the this might be a very rough, extreme analogy, but let's say Sashiko. Imagine that Sashiko is the circle, right? But the people in the, let's say people in the US or people in English want Sashiko to be small square. So they try to mold it, either cut it out, or they squished it and put it into the mold. But they are trying to form it to this shape and size they want. In the process of doing that, some of the things may be cut off, or, damaged for that matter. Has it changed in Japan? Yes. The change happens because of change happens every single day. Every day the change happens. So Sashiko today is different from Sashiko yesterday for that matter. But the biggest change we have right now is the choice. We have a choice, and therefore it is quite impossible to recreate or replicate the very much the authentic original form of Sashiko, because I don't have to stitch for survival. I'm stitching for the other reasons. If I have to stitch for the for getting the warmth, then I shouldn't be stitching. I should get something else. So Sashiko was stitching for the survival, stitching for the life, ordinary stitching. Now 4 years ago it became more like weight crafting, and then after that, right now it's more like hobby, very much hobby. So, and then when it comes to hobby, then color is the choice, the fabric is the choice, and when it becomes hobby, bigger manufacturers kicks in, brands kicks in. So, and then now who choose what we want to do is going to be the key. So I have two sides of Sashiko stitchers in Japan who really wish to preserve this kind of old-fashioned, I don't want to say old-fashioned, but let's say old-fashioned style of Sashiko, and the others who does not really want to do that. And I don't define which is right or wrong, because there's no such a thing as right or wrong, but because I do what I do, I like to speak up for my side. And this is the place where one important thing kicks in. There's a big difference between can and don't, and I don't want to make a change based on can't. I would like to make sure that everybody can do it, and then they choose not to do it, do it. I'll go back to these starchy potatoes. Just let me finish the question to Susan. I meant it has changed in Japan last. Do contemporary Japanese hobby stitchers see as simplified? I don't think so much. The reason I say that, well, somewhat, yes, somewhat they're simplifying it, but the problem is that, not a problem, there's still many, many resources to learn in Japanese language. There are so many Sashiko stitchers who can speak like me. It's just difference is that I am speaking in English. If when it comes to the Japanese, there are quite many people who can speak who can talk like this. There are quite many Sashiko masters, teachers who can kind of criticize others, who can make a comment. So when they keep stitching, they will have to, at some point, face to understand what Sashiko is. So they might simplify some of the culture, but after all, they will meet to the Sashiko, different kind of Sashiko, and as the result, it will not. The simplified version of Sashiko is their choice, and it's not gonna be the end of their journey as long as they keep doing Sashiko. If they stop doing Sashiko, then they are not gonna be part of the Sashiko after they stop doing that. So it's not gonna be a problem. So as long as it is done in Japanese, the simplification itself is not a big deal because there are, at this moment, there are still many resources, like alive resources. English, so it might sound like simplification itself is a bad thing. It's not a really bad thing. Simplification is not a bad thing itself. Defining that simplified version as the whole picture is the wrong, and it's the bad thing. Not even bad, it's like a sad. Are there any ways you feel Sashiko has changed positively, possibly highlighting certain changes to the audience can redirect their energy? That's a good question, as Susan said. Are there any ways I feel Sashiko has changed positively? Possibly highlighting certain changes to the audience can redirect their energy. This might sound kind of crazy, but I think all the changes are positive. I don't think I see any negative change. Change itself is good, and change itself is very natural, and I don't deny. When we deny the change, there will not be any Japanese culture. We Japanese cultures are based on the change, and that's kind of core principle of wabi-sabi too. So I probably talked about it a few weeks ago. Beauty imperfection does not really apply to the result. It's the ongoing process. So wabi-sabi is not the word for appreciating the beauty imperfection, which is not skilled or looks kind of unnatural thing. It is more like this scissor, this grip scissor, this fabric will not keep this shape tomorrow or a minute later. Everything is a matter to change. Therefore, we would like to appreciate what we have today, right now, at this moment. So because everything is a subject to change, let's be mindful what we have and let's enjoy that things changes, and we cannot resist the change. So because of that, I think change itself is positive. it's not probably the matter of even positive or negative. Change is change. What I try to communicate is how it is changed. And for that, there are probably some positive ways to change. Well, positive way to change that is like the fact that you're here. Like, there are people who are listening to my stories. Of course, it is a positive thing. And it is growing. So I'm not really giving up. It is growing. So, and the fact that I can leave this behind, then somebody might come up with another stories as well. So I don't I don't know if I'm answering the question the way you want me to answer that, but there's no negative or positive change. And what I find it as a problem, it's not a negative problem. The issue is that the change may not be done in a fair and proper condition. Fair and proper means that mindful way. I'm not saying only Japanese can change the culture. I'm just saying if they're not Japanese, then they have to kind of be mindful that they are not Japanese. And there might be something they don't understand. So, that being said, is there any positive change I can see? I'm thinking, is there? Well, again, the fundamental thing is that there's no such a thing as positive or negative change in this context. But I understand what starchy potatoes are trying to say. That I can use that good positive change as the kind of example or something we can celebrate together so that we can navigate or direct that energy to that. Mm, mm. Yeah, but I don't have that answer at this moment because I think there's a quite big difference between change as process or a process to make change happen and change as the result. There's quite big difference in between, and mainly I am talking about change and its process, how it's changed. I don't really have opinion or say to the result. And all of the result, when it is done mindfully or carefully or respectfully, then I probably don't have any problem. I'm not gonna be speaking up like this if things are done like that. But unfortunately, right now, it's not. The change is happening without that. I hope it makes sense. I hope it really makes sense. And it happens to many words. Wabi-sabi is one way. Zen is another word. Kaizen can be another word. What else? Ikigai is also another word that it's kind of like it changes its form to the way we, the people in a different country, different culture, enjoys. So everything becomes square, even if that culture is not square. We, who has the power, and English is the power, try to reform or mold non-square thing into square. If the original thing is square and happen to be the same size, that is great. It's the very good way to share the culture. But usually cultures are not the same way. Different materials, different shape, different texture, different weight, everything is probably different. Small or not, small or big, everything is different. And the issue is not the result of the change. Issue is how and why they are molding it. And why do they ignore the fact that they might be eliminating some of the part of that original shape. And I'm not saying that it's bad to reshape it. It is okay. That's how culture exchange. It is perfectly fine to mold another culture into the culture which we feel comfortable. The problem is that they speak on behalf of the another culture, that reformed version, the molded version of the culture is what the original people enjoy or carry. So like if somebody say like this is Western version of Sashiko, I probably don't have that much opinion about it. If they can define that. It is very sad that I have to say that what I do is Japanese Sashiko. Instead, like people, if they say like Western Sashiko, that's probably a better way to do that. So they can make a big difference. I don't like the word inspired, to be honest, because I don't know what they're inspired from. They might be inspired by the look, and mostly by the look from artistic perspective. So I prefer them to be inspired by stories or culture more, like whys. Culture, I mean, story means why behind it, not how it looks or what it looks. But sometimes I do not deny the change itself. So, but again, inspired is one way to say that. So I'm not denying the word. I'm just saying my preference. So it is different. They're not different. It is difficult. But I gotta do that. Change is okay. And I accept the change. I am the one actually who wants to have the change. The circle. Hi, this is my first time here on the streaming. It has been quite pleasing. Thank you. What would you say that the best way to get access knowledge about the circle that I was talking about, the circle original form of Sashiko? That's probably here. Here on this live streaming. I have quite many live streaming archives, so watching that might help. If you don't have time for watching that, it's quite long. So if you don't have time for that, I have like a Sashiko Stories section, and also I have a Sashiko Dialogue, which I work with Thai. It's very cultural perspective, and then technical perspective. The best recommendation is to take my workshop. At the same time, you can keep watching this, and whenever you're ready to take it, I hope you can take that, because I hope that I can enable you to stitch like us, and by stitching like us, you will be like circle. Unfortunately, the Sashiko in the square, in that analogy, they don't really stitch like I do right now. We do right now. So there are two approach. One is from the cultural perspective, which is on the YouTube. I don't have any book recommendation because those are not really. Those are the those are the one of the crystallization of simplification. So I don't have that. So I don't have any books. I don't. The compact version is probably Domestica, but Domestica itself is not. It's a really good summary, but at the same time, it might not go that deep. And the best way, though, best way is actually not a best way. The way I wish you or anybody else would experience is the stitching without focusing on it. Like, do I care about the stitches size right now? As I'm talking, I am talking in the second language, answering the question that I have never answered. And, I have to think a lot. But my hands are moving, right? This is the kind of concept. This is like a principle of the Sashiko I teach. So if one can do what I do, then it's one step closer to what it is. I'm not saying that you can get to the enlightenment by doing it, but I am pretty sure that if they don't do it, they won't get to there. They might, but it's gonna take a lot longer time. If you watch Atsushi's video, there's no PhD on this because I am still learning too. I'm not the one who asked the question for you to defend. I have no. I'm not. I need a PhD then. Can I get the PhD? But yeah, unfortunately, there is not the answer to understand the circle itself because I don't know if it's circle or not. But I am trying to. Like Instagram is also one thing, and I will try to put some time into previous streamings. I'm not doing anything specific on the camera here. You probably won't find difference from today and 3 months ago. You probably see the exactly same thing. So it's like, podcast. The reason I'm stitching in front of the computer is that I would like to share my stitching without any editing or modification. And some people might enjoy watching me stitching as is so that they can learn from that too. My teaching itself is more like my personal attention, but that's not the only way to learn. So, I mean, it's going to be really helpful for me, and it's going to be probably helpful for those who take the classes because I will be there, and I will answer the question, and I will help them to get the assistant. Well, I will assist them. But again, that's not the only way. It's almost 10 o'clock, so I will stop soon. Sorry if the it does not show now. Every 30 minutes that ad comes and then they will start saying it's gonna be kicking in, but it's not showing here, so if it shows, I apologize that. Okay. It's not ideal, but I will just stop here. All right. 1 hour is quite fast. It's really fast. Thank you so much for the questions and thank you so much for the input, comments, and everything. It helps me to keep talking. And today's summary is that I really do not resist the change itself. I share the stories because I would like to focus on how the change is made or has been made, has been, has been, has, sorry, the change has, it has been changing culture, how it has been changing the culture. So it is not what, it's pretty much how. So, and there's not that much things I can do or we can do. We have to wish for the better thing. So it is quite difficult, but at the same time, if I represent myself that I am very much refusing the change, it's not my intention. And I would like to clarify that here. I do appreciate the change and I enjoy the change, and change itself is a very important concept in Japanese culture. So I'm not gonna deny that. Yep, that being well, yeah, anything I missed? I am going back to the live streaming on Thursday again next week, and we may have another topic to discuss, and I'm excited to do that. At the same time, if you have any questions, please let me know. I would like to elaborate that. It is a very good way for me to understand what I like to or what I should be sharing. I don't know what I should be sharing to make a good impact or influence for that. So I know what I'm doing in Japanese, most likely, but in English I still don't know what I'm doing. So your input, your question your even criticism is very important for me to understand what is needed, what is the better way to communicate. All right. Thank you so much for thank you so much for spending time with me on the Thursday night, and then I will come back next Thursday again. Have a good night. Bye bye.